Hello guys and welcome to The Recap. This is going to be a series where I cover everything that's gone on this week in the Premier League. We're in match week 21. A lot has happened. And the weekend started at Goodison Park, where Newcastle actually somehow managed to beat Everton 2-0. That was a really strange game. Callum Wilson at the double, he's ridiculous. He's a good striker. If you look at how Newcastle play, it's a miracle that Callum Wilson has 10 goals. I still don't understand it. I don't get it. He's a great player. The header from the corner, perfect. The counter attack for the second goal, Everton overcommitted, and then it was one-on-one, and it was a simple goal. And now Everton, they didn't look good this game. They looked poor. They looked like they were out of ideas. I'm not sure if they have the consistency to get top four, but Europe is definitely on the cards. You can tell at least that under Ancelotti they're improving. They're definitely far better than they used to be. They look a lot better than I've seen them in a long time, and it's a project. You can tell Everton is a project. They're building, and they're going in the right direction. But this result would not have helped them, because I think that Everton think that they have a good chance of getting Champions League football, and they do, especially in this season where everyone's dropping points. But this result wasn't good enough, in my opinion. It wasn't good enough. Newcastle at home, you can't lose those kinds of games if you're trying to get into the Champions League, and that's a fact. After that came Manchester City against Sheffield United. That game was standard Manchester City, you know. They pressed them high up the pitch. They squeezed Sheffield United into their own half, really, for most of the game. Ruben Diaz is a great centre-back. He is incredible. They paid like £60 million. Bargain. He looks so composed, but he also has that steel about him, you know? He's a hard man. Yeah, like, oh man. Rolls Royce of a defender, man. Ridiculous. It was a 1-goal affair. They won 1-0. It was pretty poor defending from Sheffield United. They shouldn't have let Ferran Torres get past all those players. Jesus didn't really have much to do. Put it in. City took the lead, and they only needed to score that 1 goal, really. They were in control for the whole game. They were only 1 goal ahead for the majority of the game, and it never really looked in doubt. Like, they're so composed at all times, and they've built a gap now at the top of the league with a game in hand. So it definitely is City's title to lose, and I don't think they're going to lose it. Meanwhile, Crystal Palace were able to beat Wolves 1-0, Eze scoring the goal. Watch out for Eze, by the way. He's a top player. And in a season or two, big clubs are going to be after him. No offense to Crystal Palace, but he could go right to the very top. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe not this summer, but the summer after, clubs will really start to take notice of Eze's ability, because this is his first year in the Premier League as well. And he's just getting better and better and better. And Wolves, by the way, Wolves are having a shocker. They're having a stinker this whole season. They've been poor. I feel like no one's talking about this. I don't know. Is it just me? Because Wolves are in the mud, quite frankly. They are in, what, 14th, 15th? They've had an awful season. Now, I think part of that has to be due to, first of all, I don't know if you could say Jota, because in the second season, Jota didn't really start every game. He was kind of in and out of the team. But the thing that really hit them hard is Jimenez. They've lost Jimenez. And Raul Jimenez, he was like the fulcrum of their team. He was how they attacked. He was the outball. He could hold up the ball. He could play in other players. He's a complete forward. And that skull fracture is pretty much ruined them from an attacking standpoint. Adama Traore doesn't look the same player. Why is that? No Jimenez. Now, they've brought in Willian Jose, who's a good striker from the Liga. I'm not sure if he'll be able to fill Jimenez's boots, but we'll have to see. But right now, Wolves are just they're not looking great. They're not looking good at all. West Brom and Fulham, they drew 2-2. That was a bit of a relegation 6-pointer. Fulham look good. They look good when I watch them, but they just can't win games. I like their play style, but they never really do enough to win a match. They usually just draw on the occasional loss. I can't remember the last time they've won a game. But they don't look like a relegation team, if that makes sense. They don't look like a team that should be in the bottom 3, but that's where they are, and this match shows it. They were a goal up, and they let West Brom take the lead against them, and they had to get a Cavallero header to even equalize. So Fulham are definitely in trouble. The results need to start coming quickly. Otherwise, a gap is going to start to form between them and the rest of the table. Now, West Brom, Pereira's a baller, by the way. He's a great player. I think he got like a goal and an assist. But if I'm being honest, I think West Brom are going to go down. I'm not sure if they're good enough. The draw, you know, coming back from behind to get a draw, even though they kind of gave away the lead near the end of the match, it might help build confidence. But really, I don't think that result suits either side, to be honest, because you need to win those kinds of games. When you draw them, it kind of is just a lose-lose. Following that came the game of the weekend. It was the big one, United versus Arsenal. United hadn't won a game against Arsenal in the league in a long time, and there was a lot of anticipation. You know, United on the title challenge, they slipped against Sheffield United. Arsenal picking up form. This could be an exhilarating game of football. And what was the score? No surprises there, really. You know, all the big games this season, well, at least half of them, end up in disappointment, no goals. But there should have been goals in that game. It was very interesting. A lot happened. It was a very open game. A lot of chances for either side. You'd probably have to say that United had the better chances, though. And Cavani should have scored at least one. Now, that is Cavani's game, though. He gets into the right positions, and he'll miss two, but then he'll score two. So, it was a bit of an off day for him, but I don't know. That open goal was bad. It was bad. Usually in the big games, they kind of sit back and hit teams on the counter, but they held a high line. They tried to pen Arsenal in, and they did have the better chances, but I would say that a draw is a fair result because Arsenal performed admirably as well. They had their chances. They hit the bar from a Lacazette free kick. It was even. It was end to end, and it was an entertaining game. And Pepe actually didn't look bad. He might have turned a corner. He looks lively. He looked to take his man on. He was taking a few shots. He was building in confidence, and I think that's something to look out for. Because if Pepe builds confidence and he hits a stride, then he could be some player for Arsenal. On the other hand, for Manchester United, Marcus Rashford had a stinker. Oh man, I love Marcus Rashford, man. Great player, bags of potential. He could be as good as anyone, but his decision making isn't there. I've seen it a lot from him. You can tell he has all the ability, but sometimes when it comes time to make the crucial decisions, he'll take too long, and he'll either make the wrong decision or take too long to make a decision, and by that time the chance is gone. So that's something he's going to have to up his game in, because if his decision making was on for that game, United would have won, and it's just a fact. Also, by the way, I don't think Willian actually looked that bad when he came on at halftime. I know that's kind of like blasphemy for Arsenal fans, but he actually wasn't that bad. But that's all I'm going to say about that game. The late night game on Saturday was controversial, to say the least. Southampton lost 1-0 to Aston Villa, but I think Southampton were hard done by. The one major controversy was at the end of the game, where Danny Ings was apparently like an armpit, or not even an armpit. It looked level to me, but like millimeters offside, and it was disallowed. It would have been a last-minute equalizer, and it would have been great for my FPL. But really, it was bad. Like, I don't see how VAR is given that was offside. I don't understand. When the margin for error is that small, how are you calling a foul? I don't understand. I'm open to hear other differing opinions, and I do know that Aston Villa have been hard done by in the past by VAR, especially with like the whole Man City thing where Mings got dispossessed by Rodri. So I do hear there's an argument for that. But VAR, man, it's just making so many awful decisions. I know it's not VAR itself, it's the referees, it's the rules, but something has to be done, because it's not working right now. It's not. It's working half the time, and it's not working half the time. So it needs to get better. And hopefully it will, and these are just teething problems, but it's not good enough right now. On the Sunday, the first game was Chelsea against Burnley. It was Tuchel's second game as manager, probably the first game where he had a bit of training to get to know the players. He tried out a different, bit of an experimental 11. What I noticed is that he's kind of trying to feel out most of his players in these first two games, and it did work this time. Chelsea, they controlled the game. Their first goal was a dangerous counterattack. They weren't great with the chance creation in the first half, but they did get their goal, and it was deserved. Burnley didn't really get a kick in, and in the second half they stepped it up again. They hit a further gear. They had all the ball. They started creating a bunch of good chances. And Alonso scored a beautiful goal near the end of the game. He controlled it on his thigh and then hit it on the volley, and it went right over the keeper, and great goal. And it was deserved. So they went 2-0 up. Burnley never looked like they had a chance the whole game. I was impressed with a lot of players in that game. Jorginho especially. He controlled the game. He dictated the tempo. His range of pass was impressive. The composure he showed was top quality. He had a great game, and Tuchel seems to like him. He started both games, and also I think Tuchel wanted him at PSG as well. So there's a connection there, and it's working. Hudson-Odoi as well. Callum Hudson-Odoi has really impressed me as well. He's played as a right wing back, but he's not really a right wing back. He's basically a winger, and he doesn't do much defending, but he's a terror. I watched him against Wolves, and I watched him against Burnley, and left backs just can't handle him. They just can't handle him. He's so quick. He has skill. His dribbling ability is top tier. Now, the only issue is the end product, but the end product's almost there. It's working. The crosses are being whipped in. They're looking good. He is a player. He has a lot of potential, and he could be as good as anyone in the Premier League. I think when it comes to the debate of the Premier League youngsters, he has to be up there. He's a quality player. If you watch him play, the way he dominates that whole right-hand side is incredible. It's impressive. The question that brings up is Hudson-Odoi playing at right wing back. What does that mean for Reece James? Hudson-Odoi hasn't done much defending, and I think that his abilities, are more suited to games where Chelsea completely dominate the ball. A Burnley, that makes sense. A Wolves will sit back, so there's not much defending you have to do. Now, I think against bigger teams or against teams that will attack you more, you're gonna have to play a Reece James at right wing back, because Reece James can do both. He might not be as good attacking wise as Hudson-Odoi, but he's good at both. He's good at defending, and he's good at attacking. So you're going to have to find a balance there. And I think, for me, the game plan would be play Hudson-Odoi against the smaller teams in the games where you're going to have to break down a low block. And then in the bigger games where you're going to have to do a bit more defending, you'll bring in Reece James. And I'm curious if they'll be able to play together, how Tuchel's going to work on that. But their opening signs are looking promising. I'll say that much. However, Timo Werner did not look good. The confidence still isn't there. There was the whole belief that, new manager changes form, and he just might, but it hasn't started as of yet. He looked a bit off it. The passing wasn't great. The finishing was poor, and it's becoming something that you associate with Timo Werner now, poor finishing, which I don't think anyone expected when he came here, but needs to turn it around. He doesn't look half the player he was, and I think that's just confidence. He's going to have to step it up if he wants to keep his place in the Chelsea side, because they're not going to wait for a project player, If he's not performing, he's not going to play games. After that came another upset, Leeds against Leicester. Leicester don't look good at home for the most part this season. They did take the lead though. It was a great Harvey Barnes goal. Harvey Barnes is a great player. He is underrated. I think his finishing has gone up a level this season. And Gareth Southgate was at the match. And I think he'll be taking notes and looking at Harvey Barnes, and I think he'll be having a little bit of a dilemma on his hands. Harvey Barnes won't be the only person that Gareth Southgate will have to have a think about including in the England team. The other person has to be Patrick Bamford. He was incredible against Leicester. He had such a complete performance. It's everything you want from a forward. The timing of his runs, his weight of pass, his finishing ability. The goal he scored against Leicester was incredible. He was on the left side of the box, and he hit it with a bit of curl into the top right corner, into the side netting. It was incredible. It went over Kasper Schmeichel, and it was a great finish. And even if he hadn't scored that goal, he still had a great performance. He got, I think, 2 assists. The unselfishness for the third goal really impressed me. I think he's a complete forward, and he really, really impressed me. And I think he will have impressed Gareth Southgate as well. And he's going to have an issue on his hands. Who's he going to bring to England? Their sport for choice. Bamford, Callum Wilson, Calvert-Lewin, Ings, and Kane. That's 5 strikers. And they're not all going to go. And at this point, in form, you'd have to argue that they'd all deserve to go. So, it's going to be difficult. But Patrick Bamford is some player. And I don't think anyone can deny that now. He had a lot of doubters, me included. I didn't think he was going to do... I don't think anyone really expected he was going to do this when he got here. But he's shown to be a very, very impressive striker. So, fair play to him. After that, Liverpool managed to get a 3-1 win over West Ham United away. They're fully back in the title race now. They're past a rough patch, and they looked really impressive against West Ham. It took until the second half, really, for the floodgates to open, but Mohamed Salah had a great game. He didn't really get much of the ball, but in the second half, started to open up a bit more. He cut in, curled his first goal into the back of the net, and I thought that was going to be the best goal of the game, and it wasn't. That's the best part. Their second goal was incredible. After they scored, they kind of sat back and hit West Ham on the counter, and it was a great goal, the second goal. So it all starts from a West Ham corner, right? Liverpool, they clear, they get the ball. Trent Alexander-Arnold hits a long diagonal over to Shaqiri, who hits it first time to Mohamed Salah. Salah finds himself, he controls it on his right foot, and the keeper's onrushing, and he flicks it with his left foot into the back of the net. It was a great goal, and Salah's now 3 goals clear in the Golden Boot race. So people are saying he's having a bad season, and I don't know if you could say that, to be honest. He's shown he still has it. He's got the goods. Love or hate Mohamed Salah, he scores goals. Even with all the injuries they've suffered, Liverpool are still top 2 teams in the league. And it just shows the levels, the difference between Man City and Liverpool and the rest of the league. It's wild. But then came the great game. Ooh, the last game. Brighton against Tottenham Hotspur. Brighton managed to get a 1-0 lead in the 17th minute through Leandro Trossard, and they held it for the rest of the game. Brighton completely dominated Spurs. Spurs didn't know what to do. They looked lost out in attack. The defending was suspect. The midfield battle was lost. And if this is how Spurs are going to play without Kane, then it's going to be a rough 2 weeks. I'll say that much. Brighton showed a lot of heart. They showed a lot of tenacity. They pressed. They closed down the space. The passing moves were great. The movement was great. They had a wonderful game of football, and they thoroughly deserved the win. They should have scored more. That's how bad Spurs were. And you've got to question what direction the Spurs team are going to go in under Jose Mourinho. He has a job on his hands to get this team where he wants it to be. That's it for this weekend. There's going to be a big game on Thursday, Chelsea against Spurs. I'm going to be streaming that on YouTube. It's going to be a good game, so come and watch it if you want to. But that's going to be it for today. Remember to like the video if you like the video. Subscribe, follow my Twitch. The link is in the description. And if you really enjoyed yourself, there's more where that came from. See ya.